Joining us now, Congressman Krishnamoorthi from the northwest suburbs, who was sounding the alarm earlier this year about how the new coronavirus vaccines would be tested. Are you happy with the way things have turned out?
I'm pleased that thanks to our subcommittee's pressure, the administration did actually convene this expert group of independent vaccine folks. I'm very happy because that way we can build trust, Mike, in the vaccine and get more people to take it.
Now, actually, Congressman, my wife participated in the Moderna study.
Oh, wow.
And based on the reaction that she got in her left arm where they injected it, it appears that she got the vaccine. That one's after Pfizer. That's the next one up. You're pleased with what you've seen from their studies?
Yes. Both of these vaccines are minor miracles, Mike. I don't know any other way to describe them. Both are at least 95% effective when nobody thought that we would get anywhere close to that type of effectiveness. Now we just have to obviously get those doses out to the population and into people's arms very quickly.
What about the vaccine skeptics, if not the full-scale anti-vaxxers, saying, oh, there's allergic reactions. There have been some health issues in a tiny smidgen of cases as a percentage overall. What about that?
Well, I think that we're going to have to make sure that we get information about the safety and effectiveness out to the public at large. And I think the federal government has a role in funding those public service announcement campaigns, whether it's by celebrities or sports stars or musicians, or even former presidents of both parties, basically people that folks can trust to take the vaccine. That's the first thing. The second is we absolutely have to clear up misinformation that is, kind of spreading online, especially on platforms like Facebook and Twitter. I'm glad that Facebook is trying to police this content finally, but you're absolutely right. We need to get accurate data out to people ASAP.
Are you and your wife going to get it? Going to get the vaccine, and your kids?
So my wife is actually a frontline health worker. She's an anesthesiologist. The joke is that we both put people to sleep, Mike. But she actually does COVID procedures. So she intubated COVID patients at the beginning of this pandemic, and she's been doing procedures since. So she'll be among the first. And then I probably will be among the last, which is fine. I don't think that we should get preference over people who are vulnerable, and certainly not healthcare workers or people in long-term nursing facilities and so forth.
So let's switch gears for a moment. You've released the results of a look at these child seats, and
yes.
and you have some startling conclusions that I think will surprise some parents. What's the headline here?
Well, Mike, I'm the father of 3 children, including a toddler, and I was horrified at the findings. And there were 3 principal findings. The first is that the National Car Safety Regulator, known as NHTSA, has been completely asleep at the wheel in regulating the booster seat industry. The second is, because of this failure to regulate, booster seat companies have been marketing their seats to 30-pound kids, even though they know that no child under 40 pounds should be in a booster seat. And then the third is that they deceptively market their seats as quote unquote side impact tested, when in fact those tests are meaningless and shoddy. And every car seat that they make passes those tests, even though if a child were in those seats, they would have suffered catastrophic injuries, Mike.
So listen, I can hear the gasps of parents and grandparents all around the Chicago area at what you're saying. So what does this mean? What should parents and grandparents do?
3 things. First, whatever you can do to keep that child in a 5-point harness seat, please keep them in there as long as possible. I know it's a pain. Those buckles are not easy to get in, especially as your child is growing. But those are the safest seats out there. Secondly, if you're going to get a booster seat, do not put a child less than 40 pounds in that booster seat. And then third, unfortunately, those labels that are on those boxes talking about how those booster seats are side impact tested and so forth, I think are phony. So don't pay attention to those labels in your decision as to whether to buy a booster seat or put your child in one.
All right. Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthi, thanks very much. You're headed home for the weekend. When do you think Election Day will finally be over?
I think it'll be over on or about January 20th, the inauguration of the next president, Joe Biden. I have to tell you that it became from the lawsuits and the litigation have now kind of become farcical, and even a lot of my colleagues on the other side, they won't say it publicly, but they even are, I think, taken aback by the spectacle, so to speak.
All right. Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthi, thank you very much. We'll be right back after a quick break.